Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with allthingsbbq.com, and this is the smoked French dip sandwich. Well, today we're going to be cooking up a highly requested recipe. It's the French dip. We appreciate you guys reaching out. We hear you guys. We want to make sure that we do these recipes that you're requesting, and that's exactly what we're going to tackle today. Now, we're going to be taking some cues from the greats like Philippe's in LA, but of course we're going to put our own little twist on it. And of course, we're gonna be smoking our beef. We're gonna smoke our beef on a bed of vegetables and aromatics to create that really flavorful jus that'll serve as the dip to our French dip sandwich. Now let's get started by taking a look at the beef. All right, so what we're working with here, this is just shy of 4 pounds of beef round. I really like this cut for the French dip. I like to leave the fat cap on. We're gonna shave this really thin in the end after it's cooked to about a medium rare, but any of those round cuts are great. Eye of round works, but bottom round is really fantastic for this French dip. So first thing I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna score up the surface of our bottom round, and I'm going about a 1/4 inch deep here. We're gonna get through that fat. And what we're doing here is we're creating some texture for our rub to hold on to. Now we're gonna be using a wet rub on our beef today, but before we do that, we're gonna get it seared off in the cast iron roasting pan that we're using, just to get a little fond going, a little extra flavor, and a little sear and color on the outside of this. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side as well. And this is really just because those wet rubs, you know, they'll really hold on to the meat better if they have a little something, a little crevice or something to creep into. We're gonna shave this stuff so thin in the end that the outside presentation, you're not gonna see this. Now today we're cooking on the Yoder Smokers YS640S pellet grill. We're running hickory pellets, and currently it's set to 425. That's just for the searing portion of this cook. We're gonna crank it down to 250 to smoke the beef after we get a nice sear on the outside. As you can see, we've got the Lodge big old roasting pan, the fish pan in here. It's been preheating with the grill. I'm just gonna put a little bit of fat down there on the hot side of the grill. There we go, nice sizzle. And as you can see, we've got room. You could do 2, even 3 of these if you like to. Plenty of room in this big old roasting pan. All right, so check that out. Nice browning on the fat side there. We started to release some of that fat, so let's flip this over and sear the other side. All right, I took the door out just to expedite the process so we can brown a little bit faster. You don't have to do that, but it's definitely gonna help you along. We're gonna go ahead and get this third big surface seared off, and then we'll pull this off and get our rub going. All right, so just another minute or 2 there. Look at that beautiful browning, that Maillard reaction taking place, creating all kinds of flavor. We've got it seared on all sides, so let's get it off of here. Now for the wet rub, we've got a dozen cloves of garlic here, and then we're gonna do equal parts of our steak seasoning with the Cattleman's California Tri-Tip and Dijon mustard. And these we'll just mince up super fine. And just run your knife back and forth through there until they're minced up. All right, so into the small mixing bowl with our minced garlic. We're gonna go a 1/4 cup California Tri-Tip. Also do a 1/4 cup of the Kozlik's Dijon Classique. So we got mustard tang, we've got steak seasoning, which is perfect for beef, and we've got garlic. You gotta have the garlic. And just mix that around until we've got a nice paste we can spread all across the surface of that beef. Beautiful. All right, so we're gonna get that rub on the beef now. Just gonna kind of massage it into all those little crevices that we've created. We'll start with the fat cap side, which we're gonna cook fat cap down today. Not that it makes a great deal of a difference, to be honest, but that's where it's going. Do the same thing with the opposite side, rubbing that into every little nook and cranny. Now, if we'd done this before we seared it, we'd lose most of this during the sear, which would be fine for creating some flavor on the bottom, but not so much for seasoning our beef in the end. So remember, this is still completely raw. It's got a nice sear on it, but it's completely raw. Right now, we're gonna prepare all the rest of our veggies, and we'll just let this sit and soak up that seasoning. So that beef roast is going back into the roasting pan while it cooks, but underneath it, we're gonna build a bed of mirepoix and a couple of aromatics. Now for the mirepoix, we're gonna go 4 cups yellow onion, 2 cups each of celery and carrot. As far as the dice goes on these, we can go pretty thick, big pieces. It's gonna be roasting for a couple hours. So same story with the celery. Once you get those washed up, you can go pretty big pieces. And if you dice it on a bias like that, it makes it taste better. But it does look nice. Doesn't it look nice? And just a large dice on the onion as well. All right, we're back at the grill now. Our pan is still inside the grill, but it's cooled down to 250 on the internal temperature of the grill itself. We're gonna add everything to the pan. We're gonna go down on top of our fond with our mirepoix. And then we're gonna add a couple of bay leaves, a couple sprigs of fresh thyme. I'm not gonna do any garlic because there's so much garlic in the rub itself, but we are gonna add some liquid. I've got 4 cups of beef stock here. This is gonna be the base for that jus. And then we're gonna add a half cup of Cousin Buddy's marinade. Now this is largely Worcestershire, but it's got other spices in it and a really bright citrus kick. So just give all of that a stir. We're gonna place our beef roast right there in the center. Now we're gonna take this roast to medium rare. 125 is where we're gonna pull it. We'll let it carry over just a little bit, slice it nice and thin, have just a little bit of pink in the middle. It's gonna take us a while to get there though. At 250 smoking temperature, we're talking 2, probably closer to 3 hours. Well, we hit 125 on the internal for our beef. It's time to get this guy out of here. Now you can see our veggies have cooked down. They're flavoring that jus, the beef, nice and tender. It'll be smoked to a medium rare. We're releasing some of that fat into there as well. Lots of flavor. So I'm just gonna set this aside and we'll cover it loosely for now. And then the roasting pan's coming off so we can strain off the veggies. I think it's important to mention the cook time for our roast today. It only took 2 hours to get this guy done. In the past, I've had the exact same roast of about the same size take almost 3 hours. So this is a really great lesson in cooking to a temperature and not to a time. There's always gonna be variables that change how long it takes to cook a piece of meat. So always be following that temperature and never be following the clock. So we're gonna get this strained off here. We're just saving that juice to do our dip here in a little bit. And if you want extra juice or extra jus for dipping, what you could do at this point is throw these pan drippings in with another quart or so of beef stock just to flavor that, and then you'll have enough to do that cup on the side. That's not my move today. We're gonna be dipping the bread, we're gonna be dipping the meat, but we're not gonna go for any extra. This has got such concentrated flavor, it's gonna be perfect. And I'm just gonna keep this warm by putting this back on the grill at 250. I'll also throw some buns in there to warm them up too. We'll just carefully transfer that back. And then we've got some demi baguettes or a French bread, French roll. This is what we're gonna build our sandwiches on. We'll just warm these up, give them a nice little bit reconstituted crust on the outside. All right, well, we've given this about 15, maybe 20 minutes to rest now. We are gonna be using an electric slicer today, so I'm just gonna cut this in half here so it'll fit our slicer. Check out that perfectly pink center. All right, so we're gonna throw this cut side down here. We're gonna go with a pretty thin slice for our roast beef. If you don't have a slicer like this at home, no worries. You just wanna get your sharpest knife out and go as thin as possible. There's what we're looking at. Got that nice little fat cap on the outside there. Pink in the middle, super tender. All right, so we're getting down to the end on this first piece. I'm gonna very carefully remove some of this seasoning that's come off the outside of the roast there, and we'll just add it to the slices. Boom, all that garlic flavor. Now with this last little bit here, we're just gonna Try my hand at the thin slice manual here. We got a serrated shoon, which is actually really great for the job. You don't necessarily have to go serrated. That Wusthof brisket slicer would work really well. I kind of like where this is going. Let's see. I mean, that's not as thin as the machine, right? But cut across the grain like that, still pulls apart. Bread is warmed through, got a nice little crust going on the outside there, so we're gonna take these off. You can see that jus sitting hot there. We've got our sliced beef that's just been sitting there while we clean up. Let's go put it all together. Let's cut these open. And we gotta do the dip on the bun. I'm gonna do the double dip. Boom, bottom bun. Just soaking up that beefy flavor. And then we get our beef into the jus, warm it up. Come right back out. This is why we crust up these buns, so they can handle it once we put all this juicy meat on top. Now this one we'll just do kind of classic, right? But you gotta have a little bit of mustard. Spicy mustard's where it's at. This Kozlik's Dijon has got a great little horseradish kick to it. Boom, there it is. Now if you like it with the cheese, you've got some options. For me, I love a provolone cheese on this sandwich, but we're also gonna do something a little old school with some American processed Swiss cheese. Here's the provolone. A little mustard on top. Let's do one more. We'll just do a single dip on this guy. When the beef's hot, you lay that American Swiss right on top and let it melt in. All right, here we go. It's not pretty, but it is a thing of beauty. Look at that. That was a big bite. Man, great smoky flavor to that roast beef. You don't always get that with a French dip, but I think that's what sets this one apart. So juicy. But this bun, or this roll, is holding up just right. That crispy exterior makes it okay that all that juice just soaks into the bread. And the mustard. That's really the finishing touch. That nice, spicy bite to the end. That's how we do the French dip. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out allthingsbbq.com for all of the products featured in today's video. If you enjoyed the recipe, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments, or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to allthingsbbq.com/thesauce. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.